But let's continue our discussion because this is honestly, this is probably my favorite topic on this show. One of. But what causes a house to sit on the market rather than sell? So much of our business revolves around being hired by people that have previously had their home on the market and it didn't sell. Almost 75% of the listings that we sell were previously listed by another real estate agent. So just imagine that for a moment. We're entering into situations where sellers are irritated, right? They've kind of lost the belief in real estate agents and that we might be different because they've been through the experience of having their home on the market for 6 months or a year or years, sometimes with multiple agents, and they're getting the same result, which is their home still isn't sold. So what are we doing as an industry to address some of this? First of all, let me just say this. Next year is 2020. There have been incredible advances in technology over the past several years, even the past 3 years as it relates to marketing. If you guys knew even a fraction of what my director of marketing and I know about marketing and how to specifically target people, it'd blow your mind when you compare it to the static, set it and forget it, conveyor belt approach to marketing people's homes that agents have been stuck in the dark ages with for decades. And sure, yeah, we've had things like Zillow and we've had, little pieces of tech here that make our lives easier as real estate agents, not so much you, but for us. And it's still not really having an impact. But there are things that agents are doing. We are one of them. We very proudly boast that we are on the cutting edge of technology always. We are a tech-driven, customer service-based real estate company that performs at a very high level. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we can honestly answer the question when people ask this of us of how are you going to find buyers specifically for my house? And I want you to think about that question because when you think about what the standard real estate agent does to market properties, what do? They put it in the MLS. Once it goes into the MLS, it is then syndicated to every single real estate agent's website, every single real estate brokerage's website, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Homes.com, and hundreds, if not thousands of others. There's nothing that they've done to create that opportunity for you. That's inherent with the membership that we have for our local MLS. Once it's put into the MLS, it shoots out to all those different websites. That is, for the most part, the extent of real estate agents' online marketing campaigns. That's their plan. And then, of course, they can throw an open house. They can put a sign in the yard. Maybe they have an agent caravan where they have a bunch of agents that don't really, have much else to do. Come and look at your property and say, "Oh, well, hey, if I get a buyer for it, then at least I'll know about the property and I can give you some, advice as I'm walking through it." Which I'm not going to go down that road right now, but you've got the sign, the open house, you've got the MLS. That's pretty much it. Maybe they throw it up on Facebook and say, "Hey, friends, check out my new listing," and they get a few likes, and their husband is saying, "Hey, another great listing, honey." Or it's just like it's kind of inflated almost. You have to understand that when some of these agents put things on Facebook, they're enticing their audience to comment and like and share to boost the post and to gain a little recognition. But the question is, but then what? Is there a mechanism that allows somebody that sees that property online to, with one click, find out more information? What happens when they find out more information? Is there some sort of call to action? Is there a lead capture assigned to it? Are these people actually communicating with the person that represents the property? Or is it just a, "Hey, look at me, I got a new listing post"? It's mostly a, "Hey, look at me, I got a new listing post." And it's all their realtor friends are saying, "Hey, great job. Keep up the good work. You're killing it." Nothing against that. It's just that it's totally different from what we're doing right now. So when you ask the question of what's causing a listing to sit rather than sell, it's always going to be 4 things: price, condition, marketing, and motivation. And you can argue me on that point, but it's going to fall into one of those categories. And if you don't have all of those things working well together, then it's not going to be an incredibly smooth sale. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. I was looking at, because we've got a new listing in the Isle of Palms, so I was looking at properties listed between 1.25 and 1.75 million on the Isle of Palms. And people always want to know, so what's going on in the market right now? Tell me about the trend in the market. And most agents are going to really struggle with that conversation because they don't know how to analyze the trend within a market, because what you don't realize unless you start doing business at a high level or you've just heard it from somebody, real estate data there's always a lag to the data of about a year, quite frankly. So if you're really trying to understand what's happening in the market right now, then you have to be talking to an agent that's doing business in that market right now at a high level and that understands the direction of the market. They have some foresight. They're not so focused with their head down and in their business that they have the ability to look up and look out and have some foresight. So when we talk about price, condition, marketing, and motivation, back to this example in Isle of Palms, if you look at the homes between 1.25 and 1.75 million, I'm just using this example because it's fresh in my mind. It took price reductions to the tune of 8% off of the asking price to get an offer. And then once an offer was accepted, it was an additional 9% off of that reduced price. We're talking 17% off of the listing price. On a $1.5 million home, that's a big chunk of money. That's what, $250,000? Somewhere around there? And so we talk to these sellers and we help them understand the actual trend in the market. And one of the overarching trends, and we've talked about this in the past, is just the agent's propensity to overprice listings. It happens every time we get into a market with shortened supply. You have reduced supply, and it's still going down. And then you have all of these agents that enter the market because, hey, real estate market's hot. Back to condition marketing. Sure, when the market's really hot, it's easy to put a sign in the yard, get a bunch of agents to call it, have a line of buyers out the door, and get a multiple offer situation going in a few days. It's not really the reality right now. In some markets, sure, yeah, it still happens, but it needs to be done with intention. No one's going to line up out the door and get in line for a home that's overpriced by 15%. Buyers have a pretty good idea of value, and they're watching these websites like hawks. And of course, all these websites have their own opinion on how much that house is worth, and I could spend another hour talking about how stupid Zillow's estimate is and really make fun of it, but I'm not going to, because the reality is the market's going to dictate what your home sells for. So if you're not looking at some of these key performance indicators, like how many showings am I getting in comparison to the market average? Or if I'm getting all these showings but I'm not getting offers, why? Am I consistently, the fourth or fifth best home that they're seeing? You might be getting the showings, but you might not be positioned well enough to get that offer, especially if you're competing against a bunch of sellers that are undercutting you at the knees at the price. And if you don't want to play that game, so be it. That's all good. Just understand that you're probably not going to sell. So you can either wait for prices to come up and meet the price that you need in order to sell, or you can make the decision that I'm going to reduce the price based on what this market is telling me and sell my house now because I want to fill in the blank, move closer to my grandkids, or buy my other home and take advantage of a 3.5% interest rate. There are all these different areas that you can justify, playing with the sales price on your home a little bit, so long as it helps you accomplish your end goal. But some people just aren't able to get to that point. They're just not able to get their home sold. And so it goes back to price, condition, marketing, and motivation.